Hello, my name is Dr. Vicky Cleak and I'm a consultant psychiatrist with a special interest in adult ADHD. And today we're going to be talking about how it feels when you get a diagnosis of ADHD. It might be a bit unexpected. So in my experience, when somebody goes to get a diagnosis of ADHD, it can cause a huge amount of anticipation. And they can be very, very focused on getting that diagnosis. And I completely can understand that, because often the waiting lists being years or having to pay for that yourself means that the stakes are really high. And so all of the focus can be on getting the diagnosis, getting access to appropriate treatment that is helpful. But often people don't anticipate how they're going to feel and what they're going to do with those feelings at the point of diagnosis. And in my experience, those feelings can be quite unexpected and pretty mixed. So as I say to all my patients, that getting a diagnosis is not the destination. Actually, it's often the first step in a new journey, but just in a different direction. Getting a diagnosis comes hand in hand with experiencing a number of emotions. And I guess the first thing to say is that's completely normal. People have a whole variety of different emotional experiences, including positive ones being validated, relieved, but also some difficult emotions such as feeling quite stigmatized with shame, feeling numb or overwhelmed. The key thing here is to remember that all of those feelings are completely normal, and you need to give space for yourself to feel all those feelings so that you can get through to the other side. It's only when we acknowledge our feelings that they will stop nagging us. So yes, what you're feeling is completely normal for you. Surprisingly, what many of my patients describe feeling after a diagnosis of ADHD is a grief reaction. A grief reaction for the person that has struggled all their life with the difficulties of ADHD, which until now have remained unacknowledged, and grief for the future that they now no longer have without this diagnosis. They have a different future. And although that can actually in the long term be very, very positive, in the short term that can feel quite sad and difficult. The classic description of the stages of grief go through 5 discrete feelings, starting with denial, feelings of shock, avoidance of wanting to discuss it with anybody, through to anger that this has not been picked up earlier in your life, that you've had to manage all these difficulties for this length of time, and the negative impact that may or may have had on you and your life. But then going through bargaining, so I can guarantee all my patients will go and double check that I'm really a doctor, that I know what I'm talking about, that I've seen lots of people with ADHD that haven't got that diagnosis wrong, that kind of bargaining. And then you can often fall into a brief episode of low mood, where you feel really sad for the person that was you, and again this new future that looks at the moment very opaque, not clear, and what it all means for you and your family going forward. But I can guarantee that you will get through all of that through to what we call acceptance, where you can actually think, do you know what, this has been a really positive experience overall, and these are the reasons why. So coming back to you, how did you feel about getting your diagnosis of ADHD? On the day of getting the diagnosis and for the following days, was there a difference? Did you recognise that you had gone through any of those stages of grief? And if so, how did you handle that? What's been the biggest challenge for you about your diagnosis? Has it been telling colleagues, or has it been actually recognising that you need to do something different and it's going to be some extra work? What has been the biggest challenge for you? Has it been accessing appropriate medication? And Finally, what has been the best thing about getting the diagnosis? What have you learned about yourself? What has it changed? And then you might want to turn to my free download booklet, A Women's Guide to ADHD Mastery, to help you reflect on these questions. So in summary, although there can be some huge positives to finally getting a diagnosis of ADHD, it can also come with a lot of mixed and unexpected emotions, which can be difficult, but that's normal, and getting through it will lead to a much better understanding of yourself and empowerment going forwards. I hope you found this video useful, and I look forward to seeing you at the next one. Take care.